Alrighty, you guys, settle down, settle down. I'm a producer, how can you tell? I have a notebook. Alrighty, so for the Season 8 finale, I'm thinking we spice things up. It's been a very boring season, right? But, hey, Season 8 finale, why don't we make this one the best one yet? No, not 45 minutes. No, Steve. Not 55 minutes. Let's make this thing an hour and 43 minutes. Who's with me? Nobody? Oh, fine, okay. What's going on, you guys? James here with another real recap and review for Love is Blind Season 8, Episode 13. Yes, it's time for our weddings. It's the Season 8 finale with the reunion debuting Sunday at 9 p.m. Eastern. That's this Sunday, so you're not going to want to miss out. Hit the big red button below and subscribe so you don't miss my coverage for the finale and things that happen afterwards, because in typical Love is Blind fashion, the mess doesn't stop with the finale. But today, y'all, I'm so excited to get into this. I know that it's going to be an interesting next 30 or 40 minutes. We're going to talk through this together. We're going to get into my recap, and it's going to be spoiler filled. So yeah, spoiler warning if you haven't watched episode 13 yet. But guys, I dropped my weddings predictions video. I'm excited to see if I get it right or not. And I'm a little curious if the people who I said will say no, and yes, say yes, because now I'm starting to backtrack and think that maybe I wasn't thinking straight. But like I said, this is episode 13. If you did miss my episodes 10 through 12 recap, you can find that floating around at the top of the screen or down below in the comments. But today's all about our wedding ceremonies. So let's go and dive right into where we left off from episode 12. Episode 12 was interesting, right? A lot of you said that episode 12 could have just been an email, and you're absolutely right. Why not include the weddings in episode 12? Instead, they decided to do an episode 13, which is not typical. So, trust me, I don't think it was necessary, but Ben and Sara is where we left off. They are down, they walk down the aisle, they're at the altar, and the officiant says, "Hey, yo, Sara, what do you say to homeboy Ben?" And Sara's thinking, and then it cut to black. Until today. Sara's asked, "Do you take Ben to be your lawfully wedded husband?" And she says, "No." I was totally wrong. I thought that she would say yes, simply for the fact that she's been going against herself and her views all season long. She's a walking contradiction. That was a reference to the Juicy Fruit commercial. But I was surprised. I mean, she did say she wanted a partner that was pretty much lockstep with her in terms of her views and values. And, well, it doesn't help Ben that he didn't even know George Floyd really happened in his backyard. So, because of that, according to Sara, this is why she says no. And even though she said that she still cares for Ben, that didn't stop the crowd reactions from being hilarious. And Ben is beginning to mentally scramble in his mind and think, okay, how do I salvage this? And he ends up telling her, or asking her really, at the altar, like, you know, I still love you, you know, can we still try this thing? I'd love to still try this thing, and I want to continue building our relationship. And Sara's sitting here like, homie, not only did I just say no, I said I don't, and I don't want to actually be with you anymore, in so many words. But you know what? That actually sounded nicer than what Sara said. Sara chuckled and said, "We'll see." Hey, yo, come on now, Sara. My goodness, the man is already embarrassed enough, and you go and say, "Oh, we'll see." Come on, dog. But it was a very awkward moment at the altar, and finally Sara steps off, and then Ben shortly after follows. But Sara mentions in a testimonial interview that her heart was there, but her mind couldn't say yes to Ben. Now, girl, listen, you knew this before the ceremony, that you were going to say no. You probably knew this weeks ago, but you continued to just drag this out. Like, come on, guys. This is so annoying because Sara is like, hey, I'm standing 10 toes down on my views and values, but you weren't going to break it off with someone who wasn't with you. So, like, I think Sara, if I had to make a guess, was here just for the TV. And Ben also does share some fault here, because Ben was explaining how, you know, oh yeah, I'm a man of God, I'm Christian, but then he's willing to compromise on certain things that he probably shouldn't have. So it's interesting to see where they both ended up falling, and, well, they did fall. They're just not in the way that Ben wanted. So, you know, of course, they're sad. Well, Ben is sad. Is Sara sad? I don't know. Y'all tell me in the comments if you think Sara really is sad in this moment. And then Ben ends up meeting with some of his friends, and I thought it was really cool to see his friend Drew pray over Ben, but not just Ben. He also prayed for Sara too. And it was of course nice to hear them pray in Jesus' name. We don't hear that often on Love is Blind, so it was really cool to see that and witness that. But Ben does explain a little bit more, saying to his friends, listen, I thought we were on the same page together. And I actually don't necessarily blame him too much for feeling that way, because Sara did push back against her sister and her sister's partner at the dinner, so Ben is probably thinking, dang, Sarah's really in this for me, until Sara drew a wild card and said, nah, cuz, reverse Uno'd on ya. It's a no. And I'm sure that, makes Ben feel pretty bad. And then the producers couldn't just let this go. They added salt to Ben's wound, and they had him smelling the roses? Oh, nah, come on now. And that's that for Ben and Sara. So we're 0 for 1 right now with weddings, you guys. Will Joey and Monica make it a win? Will they go all the way? And will we finally get our first married couple of season 8? Hey, at least I was correct in predicting that Joey and Monica would come next. And I actually predicted the order of the ceremonies perfectly. So I'm just going to pat myself on the back for that one. So we begin with Monica getting out of the Escalade, and she says in a testimonial interview, if Joey says yes at the altar, I'm all in. And that reminds me of a gospel song, I'm all in. I love that song. I'm all in. Hey. All right, Joey's next out the Escalade, and he brings a longboard with him. And he longboards from where he gets dropped off in the road to the door, which is probably 10 feet. He literally dropped the board, pushed one time, and then had to pick it up very quickly. But that longboard stayed with him, even during the ceremony. No, actually, yes. Oh my gosh. One thing I noticed in the groomsmen's quarters is that they have matching floral button-down shirts. I know this is probably apropos for Joey, right? But, guys, be serious. It is a wedding ceremony. And you're bringing in shirts that should have stayed in Honduras? My goodness, come on. We do get Joey mentioning that Monica's sister gave them her blessing, but not her support. And I feel like we didn't get that second part on camera last week. I remember there was like a photo shoot, right? And then Nicole says, I give you guys my blessing. But did we hear her say, I didn't give you my support? If so, man, the Sisters Haters Club, they're winning this week of episodes. Oh my gosh. And speaking of Monica's sister, we then transition to a scene inside of the bride's quarters, and Monica's sister Nicole says, listen, hey sis, I question your ability to read people. I mean, she is still hating all the way to the final moment. But it wasn't enough that Monica's getting sort of grilled by her sister. Instead, she's got to explain herself a little bit more in her feelings about Joey while her hair is looking like this. Come on, guys. You couldn't get her in a better moment. And even one of the friends say, like, you look like a hot mess right now. Yeah, thanks, dude. She knows. But man, it was something. And then Monica's friend continues to grill her, and it feels like Monica's literally being hung out to dry here when he asks her, what did you feel during yours and Joey's first kiss? And Monica says it wasn't magical, and boy, we could have told you that one, Monica. It didn't look romantic or anything like that. And listen, I'm a sucker for romance, but it still felt like they didn't take that next step in their relationship, and it didn't go from friend to partners. You know what I mean? Then Joey's family comes to visit him in their groomsmen quarters, and honestly, it feels like during this conversation, Joey is really giving nothing. This man is giving, I'm bored. Get it? Longboard, I'm bored. My gosh. Chris, hold me accountable in the comments. But the segment really is missing something here. And up till the ceremony, I feel like it was very forced. So I was thinking like, man, my prediction was that they get married, but I'm not so confident anymore. Okay, so now it's time for the ceremony, and Joey does what he's been doing this whole darn episode, which is go down the aisle with his longboard. I mean, be so for real right now, bro. I don't know why that irks me so much. I think it's because he has like no reverence for the moment, and it's like, dude, do you not care that this is your wedding day? I think he knew that he was gonna say no, and maybe he wasn't confident about Monica, but let's figure out what they really said when they get to the altar. The officiant does the whole thing, you came to this experiment, you wanted to find love. Is it true? Is love really blind? Hey, Monica, what say you? So after Monica is asked, she takes some time, then she starts crying, and that's when I knew that she was gonna say no. And she does. She says, I don't right now. And I don't know what it was, But it almost felt like Joey's body language was, "Phew, thank goodness, I agree with you too." And that probably didn't make Monica feel great either. So this is another win for the Sisters Haters Club. Somebody put it on a t-shirt. But again, the entire build up to their wedding moment just felt weird. And Joey went on to say, hey, it would have been a no from me too. So I guess, listen, the Golden Retrievers could only last so long in season 8. Man, I actually did kind of want them to work out, to be honest with you guys. But Monica was seemingly hoping for more substance in their relationship and more depth, which she does mention. But man, Joey couldn't get there. They both seemed to be in agreement before awkwardly saying bye to one another, but Joey does have another comment to make. He said in a testimonial interview that Monica's sister was a big reason it didn't work out, and, well, that's not great, but he also took accountability for not being physically present, so Joey's got to work on himself, and, well, Monica, I guess she made the right decision because I can't imagine Joey was ready for marriage either, and, then he took another dig and said, well, this was the first time Monica said, I love you to me, and it was at the altar, and he didn't know that before. Yikes. Okay, guys, we're 0 for 2, but can Devin and Virginia save the day? We shall see. Leading up to their moment, their ceremony, it seemed like they were both really confident about one another. Virginia saying things like, I feel so secure in our relationship. And then Devin saying like, man, I feel so good. I love her. She's the ultimate, queen. Gosh, I can't wait to make her my wife and stuff. I'll be her husband. So it felt very lovey-dovey, and I was surprised. Oh, but don't worry, Virginia still seemed either very relaxed or exhausted the entire time she was getting her makeup done. But then Devin's niece, Hazel, shows up to the scene and makes the segment even more adorable. My gosh, she's so darn cute. And then Virginia's dad ends up showing up in Virginia's quarters and Virginia's stepmom as well. So all the families are starting to show up and whatnot. Then Virginia's aunt comes through with the drip. She looks great. And she's the officiant. So I do think that this is very personal for Virginia. And I actually really love that. So let's fast forward now because there's really nothing else to glean from these moments before the ceremony. Once we get there, man, it's so good to see that finally he went with a bow tie, not a tie. Because when Devin was trying on his suit and it looked like he was coming from the 8th grade prom, listen, I had to call it out. But now, hey, it looks a lot better. So once, of course, he's walking down the aisle, eventually Virginia gets there too. And I was surprised because in this moment I'm thinking, how is this the sweetest ceremony so far? I did not expect that. So Virginia's aunt makes sure to go through the motions and then have to read that really dumb script that they give to all the officiants. And eventually, Devin's asked, and he says, I do. And I'm thinking, woo, hallelujah, we're finally getting a marriage here. Oh my gosh. I mean, he signed the prenup. Virginia was hung up on that. Well, not so fast. Virginia is asked next. And then she starts crying and says to Devin, I love you so much, and I was waiting for the but. And she says, but I'm not ready. Oh, man. And it doesn't help that Devin is absolutely crushed, like genuinely crushed. This is really affecting him, and it's pretty heartbreaking when you hear Devin's niece ask, what's happening, what's happening? And then Devin's father leans over and says, hey, she said nah. So it's like, man, this is hard for Devin, and honestly, I am praying for him because he seemed really shook up, so I pray that he finds healing, and also that Virginia eventually finds her partner. It's tough to see that happen, though, because, man, the whole time, I bet Devin was thinking, man, oh man, it's the prenup she's hung up on. If I sign this thing, we can finally take those next steps. But Virginia does explain that maybe their differences also lie in the whole political conversation and the way that they have outlook on certain issues and situations. Not great. And then afterwards, during the family huddle up, Virginia agrees with her dad that it was too fast. But girl, you kind of knew that. I really don't like those explanations from contestants when they go on Love is Blind, they get to the altar and they say, no, I can't do this, it's happening too quickly. Do you know what you signed up for? Listen, it's on the paper. It tells you how long the experiment is. You signed for this. Like, come on. Virginia gives us some more context behind her decision and says in a testimonial interview that they didn't have depths to their relationship that she needed. And then she says, again, the conversation around different topics like politics and their communication wasn't the best. Now, my guess is when he said his family votes conservative, and he didn't necessarily say he doesn't, that must have hurt Virginia. But then Virginia has to add the cherry on top of this humiliating cake for Devin and say that, well, she couldn't trust in him because there was a wedding gift. Let me read this here. He didn't bring up to Virginia that they received a check as a wedding present, and she said this also hurt the fact that she could in the fact that she could trust him. And I'm like, I'm trying to rationalize this even saying it out loud now, because I was left with a resounding huh after she said that. Come on, what? So we are officially 0 for 3 with our wedding ceremonies. Alrighty, well, Daniel and Taylor, can you at least get married so that we don't go home with the goose egg and the producers don't go home crying? Let's find out. And I have the least amount of notes for this because, guys, I've mentioned this before. Daniel and Taylor are the golden couple for season 8 of Love is Blind. It was foretold back during week 2. I think at the end of week 2, we knew that they were the golden couple. There's always that one, right, that they prop up. And during the wedding ceremonies, it felt like they really were that couple. They were even passing notes to one another within their quarters, and it was so sweet. And I love that, all the families seemed really supportive and the moments were pretty genuine. And don't worry, I did fast forward through their montage recap in the pause in Honduras and back in Minneapolis. We've seen it. Just get me to the ceremony. And that's what we're about to do. So as people are walking down the aisle, Daniel's sister is revealed to be playing the piano and singing that song. Oh gosh, what is it? I think, did Elvis make it popular, if I'm not mistaken? Probably not, knowing Elvis. You catch my drift? But it was a really nice touch. It was sweet. It was tender. And I think it was really cool that Daniel and Taylor brought Daniel's sister into the fold. And then when they're reading their vows to one another, Daniel, the wordsmith himself, he drops a bar. He says, "I promise to always be a soft landing for you and a listening ear." Homie, I'm good with my words too. And I gotta applaud you for that one. That was awesome. And then Taylor reads some vows to him, and it's so sweet, talking about how I made a journal entry in 2020, I believe it was, and you, Daniel, are an answered prayer to everything. It's so sweet. So guys, what do you think they're gonna say? Taylor is asked first, and she says, "I do," and Daniel is asked next, and they tried to play up some dramatics, but dude, the man smiles, he's cheesing cheek to cheek, and says, "I do." So finally, guys, cheer, we got a wedding. It's amazing to see, right? Well, guys, you would think they'd end with the reception and lovey-dovey stuff. But no, we got to get more context and mess from the other couples that did not get married. So we get a series of testimonial interviews, and Joey says, "Well, I don't really see me having a future with Monica." And I'm thinking, dang, Joey, this is the most you've taken a stand all season long. Wow. And then Ben says he's still in love with Sara, so I'm going to imagine the day after he's getting in the DMs. So, hey, Sara, you better choose whether you're going to entertain him or not. And then Devin says he can't imagine a life currently that doesn't have Virginia in it. And all I could think of is this. This man ain't never signing a prenup again. And there you have it. Those are your weddings for season 8 of Love is Blind. In case you skip to the very end and need a recap, I got you. We have one married couple, and that is Daniel and Taylor. And the others who didn't get married are Devin and Virginia, Joey and Monica, and Ben and Sara. So I can't tell you that this was the most fun and exciting season of Love is Blind. Instead, I think it's probably one of the weaker seasons. I don't think they should ever cast in a city as small as this, or the small town vibes that Minneapolis gives off, because I'm pretty sure it's a populous city. I just don't necessarily understand why they decided Minneapolis. I really hope at the reunion they reveal the next season is Miami. That'd be awesome. It's probably not, but it would be cool. So if you don't want to miss out on my coverage of the reunion on Sunday night, go ahead and hit the big red button below, subscribe to the channel, and tap on those bell notifications so you don't miss out. And let me know in the comments below what you thought of this season. What grade are you giving it? And if you enjoyed my coverage, yes, you can throw me a like as well. That will mean a lot to me, personally. Alrighty, y'all. Well, again, thanks so much for watching and sticking with me through season 8. We're not done again. We got the recap on Sunday night, so I'll see you guys then. But once more, God bless y'all. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you at the next screening. Woo! Man, I don't know, man. I gotta imagine Monica's sister and Sarah's sister are probably clanging together some golden chalices, or what do they call them? Golden chalices. Those are like onions. Shallots.